Move ahead to our next panel discussion. We as Gujaratis are always known to climb the ladder higher and higher. As the first panel discussion said, that we are going to be one of the most successful states in the country as well. And that's our next topic as well. Gujarat Residential Sales on an upward curve. I would like to begin by inviting the moderator for the discussion. We have with us Anup Shah, the head transactions Ahmedabad JLL. He comes with more than 16 plus years of work experience in the industry and endeavors to not only deliver real estate solutions to domestic and multinational owners and occupiers and investors across the city, but also build enduring relationships. His services across all the real estate asset classes spans from business consulting to transacting for end users and speculative developers. Welcome, sir. Moving ahead, I would like to invite our panelists. With us, we have Mr. Anand Choksi, Chairman and Managing Director, The Real Estate Connect. He holds a certified professional realtor status accredited by ACRI and has worked with several multinational and Fortune 500 organizations in India and Canada for 14 plus years. He has mentored 300 plus real estate professionals and has facilitated 3,500 plus big ticket transactions and multiple builder tie-ups and exclusive selling and marketing rights for various projects in Ahmedabad. We have Mr. Anand Choksi. Moving ahead, joining the panel, we have Deep Vadodaria, the CEO, Nila Spaces Limited. With a problem-solving attitude, he addresses complex issues in his own distinctive manner. With his exceptional operational and project execution skills, he's driving the company to new horizons. He has embedded a culture to revive responsibility and shared accountability to achieve high standards for everyone. Joining on the panel, we have Mr. Ishan Patel, Director, Branding and Communication, Suryam Developers. An architect by training, Ishan has elevated the brand to symbolize modern luxury living in Gujarat. He's obsessed with quality while looking for something new to experiment with, something that is evident in the unimaginable luxury of projects like the Banyan and in the thoughtful details of Suryam. We have two more panelists with us. We have Sharvil Shridhar, the group co-founder of A. Shridhar Group. He leads the group with a focus on creating value add for the customers and the company. He drives the technical and the marketing efforts and has the pulse on changing demands of the market and converts it into demand-driven products. Along with that, we have with us Tarun Verma, the co-founder, partner, Swagat Group. He's involved in rising the group since inception and has bestowed him with technical expertise, excellent knowledge, and extensive across the functional expertise. He is responsible for the overall working of the company and is instrumental in making strategic decisions for the company. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us once again, and we welcome you. The discussion and the stage is all yours.
Am I audible? Yeah, okay. Yeah, after the samla se. Right. Good afternoon to all, and a very warm welcome to all of you. I think we'll straight away start to the questions. We all know that last 2 years, though Yash has said we should not talk about COVID, and I agree to that, but I think a lot of sales activity that happened in the last 2 years in a way has something to do with COVID, whether the government helped us put the interest rate down or people were willing to buy bigger houses because of COVID and the trouble that they faced in COVID. So, all has happened, and construction is a long activity. It is not something which is small. એટલે જે વસ્તુ 2 વર્ષ પહેલા થઈ એની અસર હમણાં દેખાશે ને કદાચ હજુ એકાદ 2 વર્ષ સુધી વધારે દેખાશે. So keeping that in mind, we all know residential sales has been on the upward curve. The key question probably is that how more it will continue and what is that we can do about it to keep that going. So I think we'll start with Sharvil bhai. I'll keep on kind of moving around because we are talking about residential housing and the sales around it. So you have been into it for last almost a decade now, if I'm not wrong. What is that change that you have seen in the last, say, probably 3 years that has kind of attributed to this sales? Interest rate ઓછો હતો, પણ એના સિવાય mindset ને લોકોની lifestyle માં what was the change?
So, Anup, I started my career somewhere around 2008, and somewhere around 2004 was such a phenomenal period which we usually call Teji. And unfortunately, in my career till the pre-COVID, I had never seen Teji, right? So, I mean, that is what I thought, okay, this is what is a good market. But it was a stable market. Right from 2008 was a very difficult period when there was the global financial crisis. And I started my career in a very difficult time with a commercial project. And that's when then I started slowly seeing a very stable market. But that is what I believed, that this is how market behaves. What we saw in the past 2 years was absolutely phenomenal. And what COVID taught people, or how it brought about a psychological change in everyone, was it turned our economy from a savings economy to a spending economy. So nobody wanted to save, everybody wanted to spend. And that is not only with real estate, it is with a lot of FMCG products as well. You could see the spending happening in everything from automobiles to real estate to luxury items. Coming to real estate, we were just discussing a few minutes earlier. Guys who were staying in a 2 BHK or a 1 BHK, they wanted to shift to a bigger apartment, they want to get into a bigger units. Guys staying in apartments, they wanted to shift to bungalows. They wanted, people staying in smaller bungalows, they wanted to shift to bigger land and having maybe a more lavish bungalow, or they wanted to change the community and they wanted to go into a more posher neighborhood. So this is the kind of things we started seeing in the past 2 years. One big change and one big demand, which I personally realized when we kind of as a group kind of started buying land in the rural areas of Ahmedabad, because we saw a lot of demand in the rural areas. And that was because because of the weekend house schemes and plots investments. The farmers from which we bought land, instead of asking for money, they asked for apartments in the urban areas. And so out of curiosity, I started asking them, why would you want an apartment in Ahmedabad? So during the emergency of COVID, they didn't have a decent facility in the village or a small town, wherever they were staying. And they didn't have enough medical doctors or staff. And the place where they were staying, they were not like being able to, a lot of people lost their lives, we don't have the real numbers out. And that was one reason they thought that my next generation has to stay in an urban area. And they are all rich people. I mean, we look at their dhotis and we look at their, the way they are dressed, but they are quite well settled people. They have a good land bank. These are the kind of people, these are the kind of farmers that we deal with. And that is where we realized, so a lot of urbanization has also happened. There is a rapid urbanization that we have seen in the past 2 years. So the demand is obviously locally driven, which is the spending economy kind of psychology that has changed. And the second is the urbanization that has increased the residential demand.
Thank you. But I think, Tamek, you touched upon a very interesting aspect, and that is where I'll come to Ishan Bhai. Sharvil Bhai talked about people moving from village to the city, and I think you would have seen a lot of demand of probably first or second homes going from the town to the village.
Right,
so
right.
how do you see that? What has...
So, people living in Ahmedabad today were living in smaller houses. Today in Ahmedabad, building a villa is not affordable anymore because of the land prices.
Correct.
And during the pandemic, people have seen that, realized that importance of being closer to nature, being aware of their own well-being. So when we talk about moving a distance is not a concern anymore, unlike before. 10 years back when we launched Repose, it was a struggle for us to get people to that area. 25 kilometers was a massive distance for them. Now today, it is just a 25 minutes drive. And there are multiple reasons which have resulted to this psychology. Because of better connectivity, because of better road infrastructure, people don't mind traveling 25 minutes distance. So that is one aspect which I'd like to touch on.
Thanks, thanks. You also do luxury. I will come to you later.
Sure.
But while we have talked about larger houses, people moving outside, I think I will like to take Anand's view. You do a lot of sales, you help a lot of customers, and while housing as a whole has seen a lot of demand, I think luxury housing has also seen a huge demand. So I think for everybody here and for also the developers, if I have to do a luxury housing, where should I do it? And if I want to buy a luxury housing, what is that everybody is building?
All right, so post-COVID, luxury housing has shot up, but I think anything that has to do with housing had shot up after COVID. So whether it was weekend homes, whether it was affordable housing, whether it was apartments, there was not a lot of choices of villas or bungalows, so that was not happening so much, but people wanted it. And of course, the 4 BHKs and 5 BHKs from the range of anywhere from 3 crores to 13 crores is doing phenomenally well compared to what it used to do. Now there are, understand, there is in luxury also, there's a lot of segments, I think, which I would divide is, one is the real luxury that you talk about, 8,000, 10,000 rupees a square feet. Yeah. And then there is, which is a little less, a little more affordable luxury. There is pockets where there is 4,000, 5,000, 6,000 rupees range. And then there is affordable luxury where you will get an apartment or, an apartment for maybe 3,000, 4,000 rupees a square feet. So I mean luxury by not the ticket size, but the size of the unit. So if there is a 4 BHK, 5 BHK, if you want a premium luxury, which is in that top range, the biggest pocket right now is from ISKCON Ambli Road to Thaltej and from SG Road to Ring Road. Is that main R2, R3 pocket that we have is the primest project, a primest area for the luxury project. I think most of the developers are putting up a project are looking for an apartment there. Most of the clients who are looking for an apartment are looking in that vicinity. This mid-scale luxury, the very beautiful pockets are being developed around Sheelat Circle, like, behind Aryaman bungalows and so on. And now there's some few projects that have come past Sheelat Circle towards Ranchada, but very few kilometers within the SP Ring Road. So that is another very good pocket that is being developed where people do not afford 8,000, 10,000 rupees a square feet. They have a little tighter budget and they will go there. Or for the proximity also they may go there. And there was this beautiful place called Wapa, where there's an affordable luxury available, but that is some massive hiccup has come, and now that is a question mark. But otherwise, that was developing beautifully, where within a range of 1.5 to 2 crores, you'll get 4 to 5 BHKs, and a developer would get that joy of creation at an affordable pricing. So these are the main pockets in the western side where the affordable luxurious, the luxury segment apartments are coming up.
I'll come to you on that luxury part, but because we are talking luxury and residential, I would like to go to Tarun Bhai, because Tarun Bhai has done a lot of projects in the western side on the bungalow schemes, probably which when the prices were much lower, but now a lot of your focus is towards the Chandkheda and Gandhinagar area. So if I have to say, what is the difference in terms of the demand on the pricing side and the size side in that part of the town vis-a-vis what's happening in the western side?
Hello everyone. At present we are more focusing on Gandhinagar, Sargasan. So what happened, the price of the land is cheaper there compared to Ahmedabad. So we can deliver the product in less price. Means we are selling around 3,500 square feet to 4,000 rupees square feet. And due to most of the projects are of big size, so bunch of amenities are there which attract the customer to come there. And infrastructure between Ahmedabad and Gandhinagar is so good. Now it's take hardly 15 to 20 minutes. So in that budget, people are getting more luxury, bigger house, and in their budget. So it attracts the customer more in that pocket.
Okay. જેવું શર્વિલભાઈએ કીધું કે they have seen lot of maybe the farmers or landlords coming and taking up housing here. Is there any specific say sector or community that is coming to Sargasan, Gandhinagar in general?
Yeah, mostly the IT peoples are there. And in Gandhinagar, there are 11 universities surrounded by. And as Sharvil bhai said that the exterior side farmers, they are also attracted to this area because nowadays, if person want to get married fast, he has compulsory take one residence in city area. So it attracts, always it is the attraction. Means there are all type of customers are there, even government employees, IT peoples, and proper the person who is staying in Ahmedabad and want a bigger house with within his budget. So it is a good option for them. Sargasan or Kudasan is the good option for them. They get a bigger house with less price.
Best price. Okay, thank you. ગાંધીનગરની વાત કરીએ, આઈટીની વાત કરીએ, and if we don't talk about gift, I think then we are not sitting in Ahmedabad. But if you have to talk about gift, then my next question would be to Deep Bhai, because you have taken an exposure in gift. You are coming up with housing, and that housing, as I understand, is very unique in terms of the typical bracket that we do. જેવું આનંદભાઈએ કીધું કે ભાઈ 4,000નું હોય, 5,000નું હોય, કાં તો મોટી સાઇઝ હોય, કાં તો નાની સાઇઝ હોય. What I understand is that you are trying to put the different sizes all together. So what's your take on gift? What made you go to gift in terms of the possibilities?
Good afternoon. So I think gift, a lot has been spoken about gift without adding much to that data. I think what attracted us to gift was the opportunities that are there, the infrastructure which is already in place. So we were just discussing a few minutes earlier, most of the real estate projects actually develop first and then the government infrastructure catches up. Gift is one of the places where infrastructure is in place and now development is catching up. So it's reverse in a way, which is obviously to developers' advantage. As you said, well, gift in a way is like a world city. It's going to be like a world city with so many people moving from outside. It could be from within the country and even outside the country because of the sort of fintech and IT tech companies and other companies which are getting motivation, of course, to set up in gift, and they have already set up their shops. So the talent will have to come in. So that gives us the opportunity to create products which are possibly something that we cannot create within the vicinity of Ahmedabad or any other place. So the project that we're currently doing on a single floor, we have studio, 1 BHK, 2 BHK, 3 BHK on a single floor, which is not possible practically for any of the developers to do if we are operating in any other place. The common denomination, of course, is going to be education and employment. Apart from that, in terms of opportunity, yeah, the 5,000 first 5,000 houses in terms of the rule is really helping the demand right now, because it's one-time opportunity in a way, because it's a walk-to-work city, which it will return back to post 5,000 houses. So the demand is pretty good, and the number of developers that have come in, and the quality infrastructure that is already in place. And just to highlight that only buildings which are already completed are all by national developers. The local developers are now going to construct. So the quality of buildings are going to be unmatched. If you have to beat any of these companies that are already persisting there, I think the quality that you'll have to deliver there is going to be top notch.
Great. I have still few more questions, but we'll come back to you, because you are doing very innovative things in how we are trying to sell it in terms of marketing, and also the kind of product that you are coming. So we will come to that. But while we have touched upon technology as a whole, Sharvil bhai, question to you. I know we all talk about affordable, and you have talked about that, તમે actually તેજી જોઈ છે. But tell me something, how affordable it is to build an affordable housing? Answer on the Excel will always be no, so I don't want an answer there. But my question to you is, because you have been doing it successfully. What is that you changed in your, say, construction technology or the construction methodology that has helped you kind of put the cost and the timelines and the quality in the fray?
Right. So, technology isn't cheap, first of all. I mean, the only way technology has helped in construction is it has reduced the time frame. And you are right that affordable projects are not affordable anymore. And that is why we are suddenly seeing a little bit of a decline in terms of new affordable project launches from good branded developers. And now developers are looking for projects where you have a little bit of a loyalty, a segment where people do understand that the reason behind little bit expensive is the good specifications, the good brand quality, the kind of material you are using, which vis-a-vis is very difficult to explain when an affordable buyer comes to your project. He is very price sensitive, and we have seen a huge change in the last 3 years. Obviously, the sales have been good, thanks to the good residential upcurve post-COVID, but the margins have gone down phenomenally. And if we were to launch a new project soon in affordable segment, looking at the land prices in the surrounding markets and the construction prices, recently we took a call as a company that it is pretty much not possible to do a affordable project now in the western part of Ahmedabad. There are a few pockets which are still left where you can still probably get a decent priced land. That is where we are looking for. And now the segment is kind of open to travel a bit but get a home in their budget, which probably 3-4 years back wasn't that easy to convince. So I think that's the future for Ahmedabad. And the recent vicinity to Ahmedabad may not see more affordable projects now. Yeah.
So my Excel says, right, it is not affordable to build an affordable housing.
Kind of, yes.
Okay, but while we talk about affordability, I think there's one aspect that a lot of people have talked about, and that's a question to I would like Anand bhai to answer, is that everybody has talked about, and you know, all the newspapers primarily say कि અહીંયા FSI વધી ગઈ ને એટલે હવે ભાવ કંટ્રોલમાં રહેશે. So what's your take on it? How true it is?
See, by and large, that is true. Like we all, a lot of investors in residential or commercial office spaces have been complaining that the prices have not been increasing lately, the investors. And which is true. And one of the big reasons is the FSI increase. Initially, it used to be, when I started this business, the maximum FSI you could get was 2.25. Then it came to 2.7. And then it became 4. And now it is 5.4. So it's twice as much as FSI you're getting to construct on the same size of land. Now, there is two things that happens with it. One is the pricing are not going up, but then the affordability of the developer should have come. But then affordability for the developer is also not coming because land prices are, the landlords are benefiting with it. Because the FSI goes up, the prices of the land goes up, the finished product doesn't go up. So it's, in a way, it's a good situation. It's also catch-22 situation for developers is what I think.
Okay, maybe we'll touch upon this topic of 5.4 and the higher FSI, higher cost later. But while we talked about the affordability and the FSI, I would like to go back to Ishan bhai in trying to figure out, because you have done plotting and you have seen the luxury segment. You have been into the luxury segment even before the COVID phase. So. What's your take on the luxury segment? Is it there to stay? It will continue? Because તમે મોટા ઘર બહાર બી બનાવો છો અને મોટા ઘર સિટીમાં બી બનાવો છો.
There are two types of luxury, I would say. As Sharvil said, 1 BHK guy wants to move to a 2 BHK guy. A 2 BHK. For them, 2 BHK is a luxury. For 2 BHK person, 3 BHK is a luxury. But true luxury is going to stay because there is a lot of financial income which has grown in the city. A lot of industries have come in the city. So because of the industries, a lot of people are staying in the city who want to enjoy luxury. And true luxury, when we speak, we are doing a project which is 25 kilometers away from here. And which is not been built in Gujarat till now, and it is a waterfront development. So 25 kilometers away, which we are building today. Banyan was a project which we built 7 years back when 11,000 square feet was not even heard of.
Exactly.
And that project and repos were very well recognized by people and appreciated by people, and we made a very goodwill in those projects. So I think luxury is here to stay, and there is never going to be a less demand of luxury because everyone wants to live that lifestyle post the pandemic.
Okay. So, affordable is not affordable, luxury is to stay, FSI is a catch-22, summarizing till now. So, I think let's go back to Deep Bhai and then I will come to you, Tarun Bhai. Deep Bhai, we talked about gift quickly, and I think it would be great if you could share. One thing, je tame kidu e rite, to think of doing 1, 1.5, 2, 3, 4, probably in the same building or same floor is unthinkable. If you ask me or Anand bhai, as consultants, અમે ના પાડી દઈશું કે અમદાવાદમાં તો તમે આ ના કરતા, અમે નહીં વેચીએ. But when we are talking about gift, I think it's something that you are experimenting. And I think there's one other experiment that you are doing. I use the word experiment because it's not very there in the market, is the fractional ownership. So maybe if you can touch upon something on that part and then how you are making that experience, because I got a chance just now to see that metaverse. So maybe if you can touch upon those two aspects.
So I feel that the future is prop tech, even though we are not prop tech companies and we are real estate developers. If we don't embrace prop tech, then I think we are at a clear-cut disadvantage over the peers who are going to be able to embrace it fast. So it comes in various forms, starting from experiences that the customer is going to have to buying and selling. Talking about the experience first, would like to thank Reality Plus. On a very short notice, they've given us a space outside. I would urge all the delegates to go out and experiment it, or rather experience it. We have Oculus devices and my team is out there. The word VR has been so loosely used in the last 1 decade that it's lost its charm. But this is immersive reality and one must experience it to actually acknowledge it. And I think it's here to stay, it's the future. And that's what we're using for one of the upcoming projects. And everybody is invited to go out and just have that experience. On the buying and selling, obviously there have been some changes, but we feel a lot needs to be done. So more than 63% people want to invest into real estate, but they don't have the money. The entry barrier and the problem with liquidity in real estate is something that we really need to sort out. Now, of course, there is REIT. Of course, there are infrastructure investment trusts. Welcome moves by the government bringing down the unit values of REIT to as low as 10,000 rupees per unit to make it more accessible. But everything, all of this is usually only talking about commercial real estate. Now, I do understand the difference between commercial real estate and residential real estate is the yield, and the yield is consistent when it comes to commercial real estate. But it's not that the residential real estate is appreciating in any less format than the commercial real estate, and you can generate yields from the new innovative models that are coming about. So we are doing doing a lot of stuff which will bring about innovative ways and means to fractionalize this sort of ownership using technologies of the future and prop tech to the very extent to make real estate more accessible to people in terms of investment and also in terms of making it more liquid than what it is currently.
So when you say fractional ownership, you mean to say that, let's say 5 people are coming and owning a property, which is a residential property, which is up for renting. And the idea is to earn a rental yield on a residential property, which is a very common phenomenon in commercial. Okay. And that's what you are trying to offer in gift.
This real estate, recessionary sales or reduction in the sales. At the same time, I have a feeling that government is going to do, government is not increasing interest rates just for real estate. By and large, the inflation is a situation, and which more to do with a lot of food and petrol prices and so on and so forth. Real estate well-being for any government is extremely important because in countries like India, it is approximately 10% of the GDP. Other developed countries, it is as high as 30% of the GDP that is being contributed by real estate. And this is just the direct numbers. Now, when you buy real estate, you're taking home loans, you're buying interiors, you're buying electronics, you're buying steel, cement, everything is interlinked. So if real estate goes down, everything goes down by and large. So I'm sure there are going to be other measures that will come along to ensure that real estate sales keep on moving. And this is going to be a temporary situation. Eventually, real estate will come back up. We all know we are in a world which is housing ratio of India is one of the least. There's a lot of people still who need houses. And real estate, by and large, in short term, it may have a blip, but overall, it's going to be doing phenomenally well.
Okay, that's great. So I think there's a general consensus that it's a blip and nothing more than that. I think we have time. I will have one last question and then probably we can open up to the floor. Again, this question would be to all of you. We talked about FSI and we also talked about, I think probably 15 days back, there was all this news about those 100+ meter towers coming up and it's going to change the skyline and we are probably going to become Singapore or whatnot. It's great. It's always good to see nice classy buildings or glassy buildings, if I have to say. My question to all of you is very simple. 100-meter plus buildings, it will do great to the skyline. What will it do to the timelines? Because we are so used to a 24-month cycle of construction. Now we are talking probably 40 or 48 months of cycle. I think the first question to you would be that, from an investor mindset, because you deal with a lot of them, to park money for a 48-month cycle vis-a-vis a 24-month cycle, is there a mindset change? Are there people willing to do it? That would be a question to you, and probably to all of you is the increase in construction cost vis-a-vis we talked about કે ભાઈ FSI વધે એટલે affordability વધે પણ સામે જે construction cost વધે છે. So what's your take? But I think for you it is the investor angle.
Yeah, so I think this is going to bring a paradigm shift into Ahmedabad real estate market is because so far, as you just said, that we have been used to having 14-story buildings, 45-meter story buildings. Now all of a sudden that some 70-meter buildings are already there. There's very few examples where the 70-meter building was constructed within 3 years, which was said. Now we are talking about 100, 150-meter buildings. Now it's going to be a tricky situation. Our end users are not prepared to put up a booking and wait for 5 years. Right now, the perception is going to take 5 years. Whether it's going to take 5 years or 3 years, time will tell. There's a lot of upgradation is needed to come from developer sides in terms of construction technology, the timelines, and so on and so forth. Whether the inventory is being sold in the initial booking or not, they will have to go gung-ho with the construction to ensure that the customer gets timely delivery. A lot of 70-story buildings have taken 4 years, 4.5 years to construct. Now, people are not very sure about this. So there's two things that I'm seeing. One is from the developer's perspective, a lot of new technology will come in. The examples will have to be created into the market to bring the confidence to the end users. And secondly, the landowners who are seeing amazing, the beneficiary of this is the landowner. Landowners are the ones who are getting the major benefit. It's not that the pricing, now that you get more FSI, builders will have to pay more construction costs and more land costs because the landowner increases the pricing. He knows very well that, okay, now so many more apartments can be created in my land. So now the investors are not going to come for 5 years in the initial this thing. End user cannot wait for 5 years. Landowners are making a lot more money. They will have to become investors. Now they will have to give land for JD and they will have to buy a lot of inventory to ensure the project remains viable. Otherwise, it will not happen, is what my take is.
I think so. That's the only way I have run an Excel file where it is making money for all of them. Absolutely. And the client is getting his inventory. Otherwise, it is not possible. Dibbai, 100+ meter building for Ahmedabad, good or bad? Or viable or not?
I think, I mean, good or bad, I think, I mean, we are not the ones here to decide. I think people will decide. What we are seeing as a trend, because we are constructing something which is 117 meters, obviously there is fascination with heights. We've not seen it. So people want to go higher. The practical issues that it's facing, I completely agree with him, are there and needs to be addressed. But I mean, we've been fortunate enough to plan our project in a way that we don't have premium location charges, but we still have floor rise. Because that's the premium inventory. So definitely, because we have been deprived of going higher and higher, because for all of these years, when new buildings are going to come, which are going to be much higher, there is definitely customer interest to go higher in terms of inventory. But on the practical front, I completely agree. I think it's going to take some bit of time for the customer to get used to this timeline that we are talking about, 4 years, 5 years. Very valid point he made there. Some of the 70-meter buildings have taken not less than 4 years to get constructed. That's where there's a question mark. How quickly are the 100 meters and 150-meter buildings going to get constructed? And that's where I think the developers of repute are going to come into equation, that people can really trust them, that they will deliver in time, they will deliver in the committed period. And even though the waiting time is a little longer, I think customers usually tend to understand.
Okay. Ishan bhai, your view on luxury and high rise, really high rise?
So it's rightly, like he said, that it's very fascinating to live on the top floors. But I feel that there has always been a trend in Ahmedabad that, if someone is building a high-rise building, there are 10 other people who are building it. And then there is an oversupply created in that segment. So that is what I feel is the bad part of it. But yes, construction timelines, as we see, 6 years. But in Bombay, when we talk about it, they have an idea of partly handing over or part possession. So when the half of the building is complete, they start handing over. They start possession with it. So that shouldn't be a problem. But since it is the first time for the Ahmedabad people to develop something which has not been done in Ahmedabad earlier, so a bit of challenge is what I see.
Right. Sharvil bhai, do you think this will bring a shift into the way we are looking at partial OC, full OC?
See, it changes the viability of the project, to be honest. You get to use more FSI, and obviously the construction cost goes a little bit higher. But it does make sense. If it's a very popular area, it does make sense. It has to be, you have to go for more height and you have to use more FSI because there is a good demand in that area, and you need to make it more populated. And recently we launched a project, and it was a litmus test for our loyal customers and loyal investors. And we were very surprised. We sold almost all the units from the 15th floor to the 22nd floor.
Oh, wow.
So there is a demand for height, there is a fascination for height. And so far nobody has even asked us how long it's going to take. I hope there are not cancellations after that. But yes, the timeline is going to change. The 2.5 years has already changed to 3 years. Now probably we'll see more of 4 years and 5 years timelines, which sounds quite a bit. And that is going to be the challenging part, but I think eventually we'll get through it. I'm sure all the popular destinations in Ahmedabad are going to get a lot of 100-meter buildings. It's fabulous for the city. When we go to other metro cities, we wish that our town will be something similar to this one day. As a real estate developer, you always fascinate like that. And now is the time to cash on it. And I'm sure all the developers will do. So yeah, it's a good thing.
It's a good thing. Okay.
Yeah, earlier what happened, I'm talking about before 10 years or 15 years, 20 years, people used to stay in bungalows in Ahmedabad. What people say, they want bungalow. Just flat was the second option for them. If he is not, he cannot afford the bungalow, then only he go for flat. Before 20 years, 15 years, it was like that. But now, in this generation, the person like to stay on height. So of course, both way, builder will also enjoy the FSI and a customer will also enjoy the height. And for the development of a good city, high rise is will be more catchful for the city. Yeah.
Great. I think maybe we can throw open the question as to the team. We have probably 8-10 minutes, so probably we can take up around 4-5 questions, so maybe we can start with that. You have any questions?
The discussion is now open for question and answers. So in case we have any questions for any of the panelists in the audience, we would request you to just raise your hand and our volunteers will make sure that you have the mic with you. Yes, in the second row.
Good evening. My question is to Sharvil bhai. What is the impact of digital payment this post this COVID scenario on the real estate sector? And the policies like now PMAY is not there. We have talked about the interest rates. So do you see, now the topic is the upward curve. Are we seeing the down something, the current trend?
You're very right. It helped us in the past 2-3 years, all the digital transactions and the convenience of it, particularly a lot of investments coming from NRI customers because of this. But this isn't the only reason why NRIs ever invested in India. To be honest, India has always been a growth story, and particularly from the past 5 years and even the upcoming 5 years, I see a very positive outlook. We already discussed the topic of about the interest rate. It's probably marginally going to impact. Yes, there is definitely a request to the government if they could do something again for something like a housing for all policy. It is something which has to be stagnant. We made a target till 2022. The next target has to be till 2032. And we still have not achieved housing for all, which was the actual motto. And probably if everybody does own a house, then it's time for an upgrade. So some of the other policy needs to be there, the incentive needs to be there. As Anand bhai mentioned that it not only affects one industry, real estate is a very big industry. There are a lot of subsidiary industries who are dependent on real estate industry, and it's a very big GDP contributor. So some positive government policies post the elections or probably near to the national elections, hopefully that will help again the real estate industry. But not big of a downward curve, giving a direct answer to what you questioned last. I don't see much of a downward curve. Probably we may see a little bit of a stagnancy period, meaning the rates may stay steady, and probably, hopefully, another upward curve from there.
Thank you.
Do we have more questions from the audience? Yes, in the right corner.
Hello, can you hear me? Yeah. Hi, my name is Diti. I'm associated with Tata Projects, and my question is to all the panelists actually. We talked about affordable, like for LIG, MIGs, and high-end residential. I just wanted to understand and understand your take on redevelopment projects, within the state, like whether it would, affect in the future and how it is going on for the upward curve as we're discussing on the topic.
So I think it was in the today's newspaper, there was a very big judgment that has come today morning, and which is in favor of redevelopment or for developers who are interested in redevelopment. The ratio was 70-30, which was declared, but if it's a very tough task, although the government had declared the policy, but even if there are 2 members who are declining to go for redevelopment, it was a very tough task to convert that project into, convert the redevelopment into a project. But because of the judgment that has come today morning, it has been a big favor. And now the judgment is that if majority of the people are considering to go for a redevelopment, and if it's an older society, then they have to go with the, the verdict of the society. And yes, redevelopment, we kind of tried to do it as a group about 2-3 years back. Multiple meetings, most of those meetings start at 9:30 at night because that's when they're free. It goes on till midnight. And it takes 6 months to 1 year to come to a conclusion. So it's a very tough task to get converted into a project. And that's where we kind of left it out of the basket, and we've kind of focused on purchase of land and doing the vanilla product that we keep doing it. But now from today's judgment, my confidence and our group's confidence again increases, and we have 3 or 4 proposals that are kind of lying at our table, which we may start taking interest again. So the state policy and today's High Court verdict seems to be a very positive note for redevelopment in the future.
Thank you.
I actually have something else to add. Since you asked the question to all the panelists, I thought I'll jump in. I think this is my take, and I've been discussing this a lot with a lot of people, that redevelopment for our country is a beautiful thing. Right now, if you see Ahmedabad's history, we were once upon a time Relief Road, and then we came to Ashram Road, and then we came to CG Road, and then we came to Satellite, and then Vastrapur, and then SG Road, and now ISKCON Amli Road, and Ring Road, and it keeps on going on. One primary reason other than the population growth is because these building infrastructure is deteriorating and people want to go to the newer areas. That's the reason right now ISKCON Amli Road or Rajpath Club Road is developing fast, because it's a newer area, newer buildings, lot more better quality of life. Now what is happening is that we are consuming lot more land of our nation just because the older buildings are not being redeveloped. So if by any chance there is a very nice favorable policy for redevelopment, we'll actually reduce a lot of resources of the country. We already have road infrastructure, gutter line, electricity towers and everything there in those older areas. And people do not want to. Right now, CG Road is a classic example where everything is right there, but people do not want to go into that older buildings. Now the new road has been developed so well, but people still are not going and buying offices. The corporates are willing to come to SG Road is because the quality of the buildings that are there. So if by any chance there is a good policy in place from government, it will actually benefit the nation at large, is what my perspective is. Thank you.
Well, I'm not qualified to answer this, but I saw some relevance that, the FSI, which is going up, has direct connect obviously with redevelopment and how feasible redevelopment will be. And on a lighter note, I believe there is not a single society which probably is qualified for redevelopment where people don't gather post dinner to talk about how they can redevelop it. It happens or not, that's a secondary thing, but it's always an equation.
I think we have a chance for one more question.
Hi, good evening. I'm Gautam. I work for Steelcase. Question is to Deep. So you spoke about PropTech and fractionalized investing when it comes to residential. So I personally have been working on an academic project with regards to fractionalizing token-based investing in residential, and I faced an obstacle when it comes to navigating government regulations, right? So commercial investing is very different as compared to fractionalizing residence. Rates are different animals. So just wanted your thoughts on navigating government regulations when it comes to fractionalized token-based investing for residential sector.
So you're absolutely right. That's what you have to navigate, because there are no real tokenization rules in the country. So unfortunately, you have to take the offshore route, which with it brings a lot of other problems in terms of the legal framework. But we see things are moving. Obviously, if you want to tokenize it for non-Indians, it's very easy at this point of time. The only problem comes in when you want an Indian to invest into your fractional ownership or the tokens. That is where the issue is coming along. So yes, there is some navigation which is happening, but at the same point of time, I believe that government also is going to evolve in terms of their rules. I think they were just a little shocked and taken aback by the sudden splurge of Indian money going into crypto exchanges after advertising. That is why this aggressive stance. I think they have come out in the open and said multiple times that they do believe in blockchain as a technology and it is there to stay. It's just that they had to put a stop to this because of the quantum at which the money got into the crypto exchanges, the way that they were advertising, and it came in from very retail customers. So I believe that government over a period of time will come out with much more laid down rules which are not there right now. All of the rules that talk about tokenization are somewhere in the gray. So if you've worked even on the academic front, we will definitely touch base offline and see how I can give you more. Yeah, thank you.
It's very interesting that we just finished on time and the clock buzzed 0. So I think over to you.
A very well time managed panel discussion. Thank you so much. Let's have a huge round of applause for all the panelists. Thank you so much once again.